Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Our first story is titled,
My husband's ex tried to kidnap our child. I met my husband Stephen about 6 years ago through mutual friends. He was recently divorced and had a 3-year-old daughter, Ariel, from his previous marriage. Stephen had primary custody, with his ex-wife Amanda having visitation every other weekend. When Stephen and I first started dating, he was upfront about his situation. I come as a package deal, he told me on our third date. Ariel is my world. If that's something you're not ready for, I completely understand. But I was ready. I'd always wanted children, and from the moment I met Ariel, I was smitten. She was this tiny ball of energy with her dad's warm brown eyes and infectious laugh. As Stephen and I grew closer, I fell in love, not just with him, but with Ariel too. Over time, Stephen opened up more about his relationship with Amanda. They had met in college, both bright-eyed freshmen with big dreams. Amanda was studying psychology, while Stephen was pursuing a business degree. They hit it off immediately, bonding over their shared love of indie music and weekend hiking trips. We were young and in love, Stephen told me one night as we sat on the couch, his eyes distant with memories. We thought we could conquer the world together. They dated throughout college and got married shortly after graduation. At first, things were good. They both landed entry-level jobs in their fields and rented a small apartment in the city. They traveled, adopted a dog, and talked about starting a family someday. But as the years went on, cracks began to appear in their relationship. Amanda struggled with anxiety and began self-medicating with alcohol. Stephen focused on climbing the corporate ladder, often worked late hours. Communication broke down, and they started growing apart. I should have seen the signs earlier, Stephen admitted, his voice tinged with regret. But I was so caught up in my own world, I didn't realize how bad things had gotten until it was almost too late. The breaking point came when Amanda found out that she was pregnant. Initially, they were both excited, seeing it as a chance to reconnect and build a family they had always talked about. But as the pregnancy progressed, Amanda's drinking worsened. Despite Stephen's pleas, she refused to seek help, insisting she could stop on her own once the baby was born. Ariel's birth was a wake-up call for both of them. Amanda managed to stay sober through the first few months of Ariel's life, and for a while it seemed like things might work out. But the stress of new parenthood, combined with Amanda's underlying issues, eventually led to a relapse. Stephen described coming home one day to find Amanda passed out on the couch, an empty wine bottle on the floor, while an 8-month-old Ariel cried in her crib. That was the moment I knew I had to do something, he said. I couldn't risk Ariel's safety anymore. He gave Amanda an ultimatum: get help or he would leave and seek full custody of Ariel. Amanda agreed to go to rehab, and for a while, things improved. But the cycle of recovery and relapse continued over the next 2 years, putting an immense strain on their marriage. Finally, when Ariel was almost 3, Stephen filed for divorce and sought primary custody. The legal battle was bitter, with Amanda accusing Stephen of abandoning her in her time of need. But given her history of substance abuse and Stephen's stable home environment, the court awarded him primary custody, with Amanda granted visitation every other weekend. I never wanted to take Ariel away from her mother, Stephen explained. I hoped that having regular visitation would motivate Amanda to stay sober and be the mom Ariel deserved. But it's been a roller coaster. Things weren't always smooth sailing. Amanda clearly resented me at first, making snide comments during drop-offs and pickups. But over time, things seemed to settle into a routine. Amanda even congratulated us when Stephen and I got engaged 2 years later. Stephen and I got married in a small ceremony, with 5-year-old Ariel as our adorable flower girl. We bought a house together in a nice neighborhood with good schools. Life was good. A year after the wedding, I found out I was pregnant. Stephen and I were overjoyed, and Ariel was thrilled at the idea of being a big sister. That's when things started to change with Amanda. She began calling and texting Stephen constantly, often late at night, with trivial questions about Ariel or complaints about the custody arrangement. At first, Stephen brushed it off, as Amanda just being emotional about the pregnancy news. But as the months went on, her behavior became more erratic. She started showing up unannounced at our house, demanding to see Ariel outside of her scheduled visitation times. Once she arrived at 11 p.m. on a school night, clearly intoxicated, insisting she needed to take Ariel for ice cream. Stephen had to physically block the doorway to keep her from barging in. "What's gotten into you?" he asked. "You know you can't just show up like this. Ariel's asleep, and you're in no condition to drive anyway." Amanda's eyes flashed with anger. "Don't tell me when I can and can't see my daughter," she snarled. "You think just because you've got your new wife and a baby on the way, you can push me out? Ariel needs her real mother." I stood back, one hand protectively over my growing belly, as Stephen tried to calm Amanda down. Eventually she left, but not before shouting, "This isn't over." After that incident, Stephen and I had a long talk. We agreed to document everything, every call, text, and unscheduled visit. Stephen also reached out to his lawyer to discuss possibly modifying the custody agreement, given Amanda's increasingly unstable behavior. As my due date approached, Amanda's actions became even more concerning. She started telling Ariel that the new baby would replace her, that Stephen and I wouldn't love her as much anymore. Ariel would come home from weekend visits, upset and clingy. One night, as I was tucking Ariel into bed, she asked in a small voice, "Miss Kylie, will you still love me when the new baby comes?" My heart broke. I pulled her into a tight hug. "Oh, sweetheart, of course we will. Having a new baby doesn't change how much we love you. Our hearts just grow bigger to love you both." Ariel seemed reassured, but I was furious. The next day, I confronted Stephen. "We need to do something about Amanda," I insisted. "She's messing with Ariel's head, and it's not okay." Stephen sighed, running a hand through his hair. I know. I've got a meeting with the lawyer next week. We're going to push for supervised visitation only. But before we could take any legal action, everything came to a head in a way we never could have anticipated. I was 38 weeks pregnant when it happened. Stephen was away on a 2-day business trip, and I was home alone with Ariel. It was a Friday night, and we were having a girls' movie night with popcorn and ice cream. Around 8 p.m., there was a knock at the door. It was Amanda, and she looked agitated. I opened the door cautiously, keeping the chain on. "Amanda, what are you doing here? It's not your weekend with Ariel." "I need to see her," Amanda said, her words slightly slurred. "Let me in, Kylie. I know she's here." I smell alcohol on her breath. "Amanda, you've been drinking. This isn't a good time. Please come back when you're sober and it's your scheduled visitation." Amanda's face contorted with rage. "Don't tell me when I can see my own daughter," she shouted, slamming her hand against the door. The noise startled Ariel, who came running from the living room. "Mom," she called out, seeing Amanda through the crack in the door. "Ariel, baby, come here," Amanda cried. "Tell this woman to let me in." Ariel looked confused and scared. I quickly ushered her backwards toward the living room. "Ariel, honey, go back and watch the movie. I'll be there in a minute." I turned back to Amanda. "You need to leave, now, or I'm calling the police." "You bitch," Amanda spat. "You think you could take my family, my life? I'll show you." She started throwing her body against the door. The chain was sturdy, but I didn't know how long it would hold. My heart was racing. I slammed the door shut and locked it, then ran to get my phone. As I dialed 911, I heard a crash from outside. I looked out the window to see Amanda had picked up one of our patio chairs and was using it to smash the living room window. 911, what's your emergency?" "Please help," I cried into the phone. "My husband's ex-wife is trying to break into our house. She's drunk and violent. I'm home alone with our 7-year-old daughter, and I'm 38 weeks pregnant. Please hurry." I gave them our address as I heard the sound of breaking glass. Ariel screamed from the living room. "Ariel," I shouted, waddling as fast as I could towards her voice. "Ariel, come here." I found Ariel cowering behind the couch as Amanda climbed through the broken window. Blood dripped from cuts on her arms where she'd scraped against the broken glass. I tried to put myself between Amanda and Ariel, and my nerves were all over the place. Amanda lunged forward, trying to grab Ariel. I blocked her, but in the process, she shoved me hard. I stumbled backwards, my pregnant belly throwing off my balance, and fell against the coffee table. Pain shot through my back and abdomen. "Miss Kylie," Ariel cried out. I struggled to get up, panic rising as I saw Amanda grab Ariel's arm. "Come on, baby," she slurred. "We're going home." "No," Ariel shouted, trying to pull away. "Let go, you're hurting me." Adrenaline surged through me, ignoring the pain. I launched myself at Amanda, tackling her away from Ariel. We both fell to the ground. I heard sirens in the distance, getting closer. "Ariel," I gasped, still grappling with Amanda. "Run to your room and lock the door. Don't come out until I say it's safe." Ariel hesitated for a moment, then nodded and ran upstairs. Amanda tried to go after her, but I held on tight, using all my strength to keep her in place. "Let go of me," Amanda shrieked, clawing at my arms. "She's my daughter." "She's Stephen's daughter too," I panted, "and I'm not letting you take her." We struggled on the floor, Amanda wild-eyed and reeking of alcohol, me desperately hanging on despite the shooting pain in my belly. I prayed the police would arrive soon. Finally, I heard car doors slamming outside and footsteps approaching rapidly. "Police, open up! In here!" I shouted. "The window's broken!" The two officers entered through the smashed window, quickly taking in the scene. They pulled Amanda off me, restraining her as she continued to scream and struggle. As soon as Amanda was secured, I felt a warm gush between my legs. My water had broken. "Ma'am, are you all right?" one of the officers asked, kneeling beside me. I shook my head, grimacing as a contradiction. "I think I'm in labor." Things moved quickly after that. An ambulance was called. Amanda was arrested and taken away in a police car. I was loaded into the ambulance, insisting that Ariel come with me. One of the officers stayed behind to secure the house and wait for Stephen, who was already on his way back after being notified of the situation. The next few hours passed in a blur of pain and worry. I was admitted to the hospital, my labor progressing rapidly. Stephen arrived just in time, looking frantic. "Kylie, Ariel, are you both okay?" he asked, rushing to my bedside. I nodded through gritted teeth. "We're fine, but this baby isn't waiting." 3 hours later, our little son was born. Despite the traumatic start, he was healthy and perfect. As I held him in my arms, with Stephen beside me and Ariel curled up asleep in a chair nearby, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief and love. The next few days were a mix of joy over our new arrival and stress dealing with the aftermath of Amanda's actions. Stephen's parents came to stay with us, helping with Ariel and the baby while Stephen and I dealt with the legal issues. Amanda was charged with attempted kidnapping, breaking and entering, and assault. Given her prior records of DUIs, she was facing serious jail time. Her visitation rights were immediately suspended, pending the outcome of the criminal case. Ariel was shaken by the incident but resilient. We arranged for her to see a child therapist to help her process everything that had happened. She adored her new baby brother, and seeing her gentle interactions with our new baby helped reassure us that she knew that she was loved and valued in our family. As for me, I had some healing to do, both physically and emotionally. The doctors said our son's early arrival was likely triggered by the stress and physical trauma of the attack. I couldn't help feeling guilty, wondering if I could have done something differently to protect both my children better. Stephen was my rock through it all. "You were amazing," he told me one night as we sat watching our two children asleep. "You protected both of our kids at great risk to yourself. I can never thank you enough for that." Over the next few months, we focused on healing as a family. We increased security at our house, adding cameras and alarm systems. Ariel continued with therapy, and slowly, the nightmares and anxiety began to fade. Amanda's trial was scheduled for 6 months after the incident. Stephen and I both had to testify, recounting the years of erratic behavior leading up to that night. It was difficult to relive it all, but we were determined to do whatever it took to keep our children safe. In the end, Amanda was convicted on all charges. She was sentenced to 10 years in prison with mandatory substance abuse treatment. Her parental rights were terminated, a decision that brought mixed emotions for all of us. While we were relieved that Ariel would be safe from any future attempts by Amanda, it was still sad to think about the relationship that could have been if things had been different. After the trial, Stephen and I had a long discussion about our future. We decided that a fresh start might be the best thing for our family. Stephen was able to transfer to his company's office in another state, and we began planning our move. Ariel was hesitant at first about leaving the only home she'd known, but she warmed to the idea as we involved her in the planning. We let her help choose the color for her new room, a soft pink, which made her happy as she could be, and promised she could help decorate the backyard. 6 months after our son's birth, we moved into our new home. It was a sunny Saturday as we pulled into the driveway of our new house. Ariel bounced out of the car, her earlier reservations forgotten as she ran to explore the big backyard. Stephen lifted our baby from his car seat, and I stood for a moment, taking in the sight of our little family in front of our new home. Despite everything we'd been through, or maybe because of it, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude and hope. That night, after the kids were in bed, Stephen and I sat on our new porch, looking up at the stars. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if Amanda hadn't shown up that night?" I asked quietly. Stephen was silent for a moment before responding. "Sometimes. But then I think about how that night, as terrifying as it was, brought us here. It showed us how strong we are as a family. And it gave us Jacob a little early," he smiled, squeezing my hand. I nodded, understanding what he meant. That night had been the worst of my life, but it had also shown me the depths of my love for my family and my capacity to protect them. It had forced us to confront issues we might have otherwise ignored, ultimately leading us to this new beginning. "I think we're going to be happy here," I said, leaning my head on Stephen's shoulder. "We already are," he replied, kissing the top of my head. As we sat there, enjoying the peace of our new home, I thought about the journey that had brought us here. It hadn't been easy, and I knew there would be more challenges ahead. But I also knew that together, our little family could face anything. The attempted kidnapping had been a nightmare, but it had also been a wake-up call. It had shown us the importance of trusting our instincts, of taking action to protect our family, and of never taking our loved ones for granted. Now, as we started this new chapter in our lives, I felt stronger and more grateful than ever. We had weathered the storm and come out the other side. Our bonds tested, but ultimately strengthened. As I drifted off to sleep that night, I sent up a silent prayer of thanks for my family's safety and for the new beginning we'd been given. Whatever challenges the future might hold, I knew we would face them together, as a family. I hope our future will be full of the peace we need after the mess we went through together. Here are my thoughts about the story. Imagine being 38 weeks pregnant and having to wrestle with your husband's drunk ex-wife who's trying to kidnap your stepdaughter. That's some next-level mama bear stuff right there. My poor heart, when my brain started processing the fact that yes, she was indeed heavily pregnant, and that yes, Amanda had gone as far as to literally burst into their home sanctuary and literally fight a pregnant woman. Crazy world, guys. And Stephen, poor guy. Can you imagine the guilt he must have felt? He's away on a business trip, and suddenly his past comes crashing through the window, literally, threatening his new family. That's got to be rough. But I got to give him props for how he stepped up afterwards, supporting Kylie and Ariel, and dealing with all the legal mess. Not really a fun fact, but still a fact for you. You can, in fact, get trauma like this. If you, out of the blue, get a phone call about a loved one being in a car crash, you can get traumatized. Therapy is so important for a reason, and you need to look out for not just your family and friends, but yourself too. Now, let's talk about Amanda for a sec. Look, I'm not going to lie. I wanted to reach through my screen and shake some sense into her, but at the same time, I couldn't help but feel a twinge of sadness for her. Addiction is a beast, and it's clear she was struggling hard. It doesn't excuse her actions, not by a long shot, but it does make you think about how things might have been different if she'd gotten the help she needed earlier. Hopefully she'll get it now and make some kind of recovery. Not anywhere close to Kylie, Stephen, or Ariel, though. Oh, heck no. But the real trooper of the story? Ariel. My heart broke for that kid. Can you imagine being 7 years old and having to deal with all that drama? The custody battles, the late-night drunk visits, being told the new baby would replace her, and then witnessing that terrifying break-in? That's enough to mess anyone up, let alone a child. And I'm glad she's got Kylie and Stephen in her corner, getting her the therapy she needs. You know what's really got me, though? That moment when Ariel asked Kylie if she'd still love her when the new baby came. Oh, right in the feels. It just shows how deeply kids are affected by the adults' actions around them, even when we think they're not paying attention. Little kids see, and more importantly, understand a lot more than you'd expect. And then there's the new baby, making his dramatic entrance into the world in the middle of all this chaos. Talk about being born into drama. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with how Kylie and Stephen handled everything. Moving to a new state, starting fresh, involving Ariel in the decisions, that's some good parenting right there. It's like they took this horrible situation and turned it into an opportunity to build something even stronger. You know, reading the story really made me think about my family dynamics and how complicated they can get, especially in blended families. It's easy to judge from the outside, but when you're in it, dealing with the exes and custody and all that jazz, it's a whole different ballgame. I also couldn't help but think about how quickly things can change. One minute, you're having a cozy movie night with your kid. The next, you're in a life or death situation. It really drives home the importance of trusting your gut and being prepared. Cases like this are always such a shock because they're unexpected. That insurance and those security measures everyone recommends are recommended for a reason. You don't expect something like a home invasion to hit you, which is exactly why people are caught off guard. Always better to be safe than to be sorry.
And now, guys, we will move on to the second story of the video. Please like the video if you have enjoyed it so far. The story starts like this.
My husband's ex tried to poison our relationship with lies. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to get caught up in drama with my husband's ex. I always rolled my eyes at those stories, thinking, just ignore her and move on with your life. But let me tell you, when it happens to you, it's not that simple. Especially when the ex in question is as determined and manipulative as Zoe. I met my husband, Vincent, 3 years ago at a friend's barbecue. He was charming, funny, and we hit it off right away. We started dating, and things moved pretty quickly. Within a year, we were married and settling into our new life together. Vincent had told me about his ex-girlfriend Zoe early on in our relationship. They dated for about 2 years in college, but broke up when they realized that they wanted different things in life. According to Vincent, the split was mutual and amicable. They stayed friends on social media, but didn't really keep in touch beyond that. I didn't think much of it at the time. We all have exes, right? And it had been years since they'd broken up. I figured Zoe was ancient history. I was wrong. I was so wrong. The first sign of trouble came about 6 months into our marriage. Vincent and I were scrolling through Facebook one evening when he suddenly frowned at his phone. "That's weird," he muttered. "What's weird?" I asked, leaning over to look at his screen. He showed me a friend request from Zoe. "I thought we were already friends on here," he said. "I guess she must have unfriended me at some point." I felt a little twinge of unease, but pushed it aside. "Maybe she just did a friend purge or something," I suggested. "Are you going to accept it?" Vincent shrugged. "I guess so. It'd be kind of rude not to, right?" I nodded, trying to ignore the knot forming in my stomach. It was just a friend request. No big deal. But that friend request was just the beginning. Over the next few weeks, I noticed Zoe becoming more active on Vincent's social media. She was liking and commenting on almost everything he posted. Her comments were always friendly, but there was something about them that rubbed me the wrong way. They were full of inside jokes and references to their past together. "Remember that time we got lost in the city and ended up at that weird little bookstore?" She'd comment on a picture of Vincent at a library. Or, "That shirt looks familiar. Didn't I get that for you on your birthday one year?" Each comment felt like a little jab, reminding me that she had a history with my husband that I could never be part of. I tried to shake it off. I told myself I was being paranoid and insecure, but then things started to escalate. One day, I came home from work to find Vincent looking troubled. "Everything okay?" I asked, giving him a kiss. He hesitated for a moment before replying, "Zoe messaged me today. She said she's going through some old boxes and found a bunch of my stuff from college. She wants to know if I want it back." I raised an eyebrow. "Stuff from college? You guys broke up like 7 years ago. Why is she just going through this?" Vincent shrugged. "I don't know, maybe she's moving or something." I tried to keep my voice casual. "So what did you tell her?" "I said I'd have to think about it," he replied. "I'm not sure I really need any of that old junk, you know?" I nodded, relief washing over me. "Yeah, that makes sense. It's been so long." But Zoe wasn't going to let it go that easily. Over the next few days, she kept messaging Vincent about the stuff, sending him pictures of old t-shirts, books, and knickknacks. "Remember this?" she'd say. "You love this shirt. Oh my gosh, look at this photo album I found." It was driving me crazy. I couldn't understand why she was so insistent about this. And more importantly, why was Vincent entertaining it? Finally, after a week of this back and forth, I couldn't take it anymore. "Vincent," I said one evening as we were getting ready for bed, "I think you'll need to tell Zoe to just donate that stuff or throw it away. It's clearly not important if you've gone this long without it." He looked surprised. "Do you think so? I mean, there might be some sentimental stuff in there." I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "Honey, it's been 7 years. If it was really sentimental, you would have gotten it back long ago. I think Zoe might have an ulterior motive here." Vincent's brow furrowed. What do you mean? I mean, I said carefully, that I think she might be using this as an excuse to reconnect with you, to reminisce about your past together. And honestly, it's making me a little uncomfortable. Vincent was quiet for a moment, processing what I'd said. Then he nodded slowly. You know what? You're right. I'll tell her to just donate everything. There's no reason to drag this out. I felt a wave of relief wash over me. Maybe this would be the end of it. But oh, how I was wrong. The next day, while Vincent was at work, my phone pinged with a Facebook message. It was from Zoe. Hey, the message read, I hope you don't mind me reaching out. I just wanted to introduce myself properly. I'm Zoe, Vincent's old friend from college. I've seen you in his post, and you two look so happy together. I stared at the message, my heart racing. Why was she contacting me? Should I respond? Should I ignore her? After a few minutes of internal debate, I decided to be polite but distant. Hi, Zoe, I wrote back. Thanks for reaching out. Yes, Vincent and I are very happy. I hoped that would be the end of it, but Zoe wasn't done. That's great, she replied almost immediately. Vincent's such a wonderful guy. I'm so glad he found someone who makes him happy. Listen, I was wondering if you'd like to grab coffee sometime. I'd love to get to know you better. My stomach churned. Coffee with my husband's ex? That seemed like a terrible idea. Thanks for the offer, I responded, but I'm pretty busy with work these days. Maybe another time. I thought that would put an end to it, but Zoe was persistent. Over the next few weeks, she kept messaging me, always friendly and upbeat. She'd comment on my post, complimenting my outfits or asking about my hobbies. To anyone looking in from the outside, it probably seemed like she was just being nice. But something about it felt off to me. There was an underlying intensity to her attention that made me uneasy. Things came to a head about a month after Zoe's initial friend request. Vincent and I were at a friend's wedding, and I posted a few pictures of us all dressed up, and Zoe had commented, Wow, you guys look great. Although Vincent, I have to say, you looked even more handsome at our friend Mike's wedding back in college. Remember that night? I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. What was she playing at? Vincent saw the comment and frowned. That's weird, he said. I don't even remember going to a wedding with her in college. And that's when it hit me. Zoe wasn't just trying to reconnect or be friends. She was actively trying to create doubts and tension in our relationship. I decided it was time to confront her directly. I sent her a private message. Zoe, I appreciate that you're trying to be friendly, but your comments about your past with Vincent are making me uncomfortable. I'd appreciate it if you could respect our relationship and keep things more casual. Her response came quickly. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I had no idea I was making you uncomfortable. That wasn't my intention at all. I just have so many fond memories of my time with Vincent. He was such an important part of my life for so long. But you're right. I'll try to be more mindful in the future. Something about her apology felt insincere, but I hoped that would be the end of it. I was once again wrong. So wrong. A few days later, Vincent came home from work looking troubled. Everything okay? I asked, immediately sensing something was off. He hesitated before answering. Zoe reached out to me today. She said some things that I'm not sure how to process. My heart sank. What kind of things? Vincent took a deep breath. She said you messaged her, accusing her of trying to break us up. She said you were really aggressive and threatened her. I felt like I'd been doused in ice water. What? That's not true at all. I sent her one message asking her to tone down the comments about your past together. That's it. Vincent nodded slowly. That's kind of what I thought. It didn't sound like you at all, but Zoe seemed really upset. She even sent screenshots of some messages. Screenshots? I interrupted. Can I see them? Vincent pulled out his phone and showed me the images Zoe had sent him. My jaw dropped. These messages were clearly edited. While they started with my actual message, they then devolved into a series of angry, threatening statements that I had never written. I can't believe this, I said, my voice shaking with anger and disbelief. Vincent, you have to know, I would never say these things. She's manipulating the messages. Vincent put his arm around me. I know, honey, I believe you. I just don't understand why Zoe would do this. But I was starting to understand all too well. Zoe wasn't just trying to reminisce about the past or make me uncomfortable. She was actively trying to drive a wedge between Vincent and me. Over the next few weeks, Zoe's attempts to poison our relationship escalated. She started reaching out to our mutual friends, spinning tales about how I was controlling and isolating Vincent from his old friends. She even went so far as to suggest that Vincent wasn't happy in our marriage, but was too afraid to leave. It was maddening. Every time we thought we'd addressed one lie, another would pop up. Vincent was supportive, assuring me that he knew the truth and didn't believe Zoe's stories. But I could see the toll it was taking on him. He was stressed and confused, unsure why someone he had considered a friend would do this. I felt like I was going crazy. I'd never been in a situation like this before. I found myself constantly checking social media, always on edge, waiting for the next attack. My work started to suffer, and I was having trouble sleeping. Finally, after a particularly vicious rumor started circulating among our friends that I had cheated on Vincent with his best friend, I had enough. It was time to take action. I sat down with Vincent and laid everything out. We need to confront Zoe, I said. This has gone too far. She's not just messing with us anymore. She's involving our friends and potentially damaging your reputation too. Vincent nodded, looking more determined than I'd seen him in weeks. You're right. This ends now, but how do we do it? We spent the next few days gathering evidence. We collected screenshots of Zoe's original messages, the edited version she sent to Vincent, and statements from friends about lies she'd been spreading. We even reached out to some of Vincent's old college friends, who confirmed that many of the memories Zoe had been sharing simply never happened. Once we had everything in order, we decided to confront Zoe in person. We asked her to meet us at a local coffee shop, saying we wanted to clear the air. When Zoe walked in, she looked surprised to see both of us there. She plastered on a big smile, but I could see the calculation in her eyes. Vincent, and oh, you brought your wife, how nice, she said, her voice sickly sweet. Cut the act, Zoe, Vincent said firmly. We know what you've been doing. Her smile faltered for a moment before she composed herself. I'm sure I don't know what you mean. I took a deep breath and laid it all out. We know you've been lying, Zoe. We have proof that you edited those messages you sent. We've talked to friends who confirm that your stories about college aren't true. And we know about the rumors you've been spreading. Zoe's face went pale, but she quickly rallied. I don't know what you're talking about, and I would never do something like that. Vincent, you know me. We have history. Are you really going to believe her over me? Vincent's voice was cold when he replied. Yes, Zoe, I am. Because unlike you, my wife has never given me a reason to doubt her. But you've been nothing but manipulative and deceitful. Tears welled up in Zoe's eyes. I can't believe you're doing this to me, Vincent, after everything we've been through. Stop it, I interjected. This isn't about your past with Vincent. This is about your present actions. You've been deliberately trying to cause problems in our marriage. Why? What could you possibly gain from this? For a moment, Zoe's mask slipped, and I saw raw pain and bitterness in her eyes. You want to know why? She spat. Because it's not fair. Vincent and I were supposed to end up together. We had plans, dreams, and then he just moved on, found you. And suddenly, I didn't matter anymore. I couldn't stand seeing how happy he was with you when I was still alone. Vincent shook his head, looking both sad and angry. Zoe, we broke up years ago. We both agreed it wasn't working. You can't hold on to something that's long gone. I know that, Zoe cried, drawing looks from other patrons in the coffee shop. I know it's stupid and pathetic, but when I saw how happy you were, how perfect your life seemed, I just snapped. I thought if I could make you doubt your relationship, maybe what? I asked. I'd leave and you'd get Vincent back? Did you really think that would work? Zoe deflated, all the fight going out of her. I don't know what I thought. I couldn't stand seeing you so happy when I was so miserable. Vincent leaned forward, his voice gentle but firm. Zoe, I'm sorry you're unhappy, but trying to ruin our relationship isn't the answer. It's not going to make you feel better in the long run. You need to move on for your own sake. I nodded, adding, and you need to stop spreading lies about us. It's not just hurtful, it's potentially damaging to both our reputations. Zoe looked down at her hands. I'm sorry, she whispered. I never meant for it to go this far. I'll stop, and I'll tell everyone the truth. Thank you. Vincent said, but I think it's best if we don't have any contact going forward. I'm going to block you on social media, and I'd appreciate it if you didn't try to reach out to me or my wife again. Zoe nodded, tears streaming down her face. Without another word, she got up and left the coffee shop. As we watched her go, I felt a mix of emotions. Relief that it was over, sadness for the pain Zoe must be feeling, and lingering anger at what she'd put us through. Vincent turned to me, taking my hands in his. I'm so sorry you had to go through all of this, he said. I had no idea Zoe would do something like this. I squeezed his hands. It's not your fault. We got through it together, and that's what matters. Over the next few weeks, we worked on damage control. Zoe, true to her word, reached out to the friends she'd lied to and confessed the truth. Most people were understanding, though a few were understandably upset at being manipulated. As for Vincent and me, while the experience had been stressful, it ultimately brought us closer together. We'd faced a significant challenge as a team and come out stronger for it. One evening, as we sat on our porch watching the sunset, Vincent turned to me with a serious expression. You know, he said, I never really understood the saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger until now. This whole situation with Zoe, it was awful, but it made me realize how lucky I am to have you, how strong we are together. I leaned my head on his shoulder. I feel the same way. I never doubted you for a second. You know, even when things really got crazy. He kissed the top of my head. I know, and I never doubted you either. I think that's how I knew, without a shadow of a doubt. You're the one that I want to spend my life with. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the sky turn from orange to deep blue. Do you think Zoe will be okay? I asked finally. Vincent sighed. I hope so. What she did was wrong, but I can understand feeling left behind or stuck in the past. I just hope she gets the help she needs to move on and be happy. I nodded. Me too. And I hope nothing like this ever happens to us again. Vincent chuckled. Well, if it does, we know we can handle it. Team unstoppable, right? As we headed inside, hand in hand, I felt a deep sense of gratitude. Yes, we'd been through a difficult time. Yes, someone had tried their best to poison our relationship. But we'd come through it all stronger, more united, and more love in the air than ever. In the end, Zoe's lies hadn't destroyed us. They'd only proven how unbreakable we truly were. Here are my thoughts about the story. Zoe, girl, who hurt you? Actually, never mind. We know who hurt you. Life, apparently. But seriously, the level of dedication she had to messing with this couple's relationship was both impressive and terrifying. I mean, editing screenshots? Spreading rumors? That's some next level crazy right there. I've seen exes do some wild stuff, but Zoe takes the cake, frosting, and the whole dang bakery. And our poor narrator, bless her heart, I felt for her. I really did. You know that feeling when you're watching a horror movie and you're screaming at the character not to go into the dark basement? That's how I felt reading about her trying to be polite to Zoe at first. I was like, girl, run, block her, change your name and move to Antarctica. But I get it. You want to be the bigger person and all that jazz. Now let's talk about Vincent for a hot second. My man Vincent, my dude, my bro. I gotta give him props for not falling for Zoe's BS. You know how many stories we've read where the husband is all, but maybe she's just being friendly. Nah, Vincent saw through that faster than anyone else. Good on you, Vincent. And that confrontation scene in the coffee shop? Oh man, I wish I could have been a fly on the wall for that one. I bet the other customers were getting their money's worth that day. Free drama with your latte, anyone? Well, maybe not for the people that go to those places to study, but come on. But for real, the way they handled it was truly well done. Applause, anyone? Firm, but not cruel. Setting boundaries, but not ripping her apart with barbed wire. They shut Zoe down without stooping to her level. That's some emotional maturity right there, folks. Take notes. You know what really struck me though? The ending. After all that drama, all that stress, they came out stronger. That's the real deal right there. Any couple can be happy when things are going well, but it's how you handle the tough times that really shows you what you're made of. And these two, they're made of some strong stuff, let me tell you. But let's not forget about Zoe. Now, don't get me wrong, what she did was messed up, like really messed up. But that moment when she broke down and admitted why she did it, man, that hit me right in the feels. We've all been there, right? Seeing an ex move on and be happy while you're still stuck, it sucks. It doesn't excuse her actions, not by a long shot. but it makes her human, you know? I gotta say though, the part that really got me thinking was when they wondered if Zoe would be okay. That's some heavy empathy they share. After all the crap she pulled, they still cared about her well-being. That's the kind of people I want to be friends with, you know what I mean? They're better people than most of the world will ever be, that's for sure.
Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again tomorrow.